And I know that this tracks back many years. I've been in this building more than a few years as Lieutenant Governor as well, and saw that the Senate started talking back in 2020, and the House has been right there too in terms of the discussions all along. So I know that it has been a time frame where, and I've said this for years, that it is really an important moment in time for us where we bring the community and the police together, and the police and the community together. And as a former mayor, like Charlie is a mayor today, we know that our public safety is integral in terms of, the three most important things that a community can have. In public safety, people need to know that they're safe. And so the chiefs that are in the room here, we salute you and we thank you for your leadership, and please deliver that back to your respective communities. Today's bill delivers the transparency that has been called for, while still safeguarding officers' right to the process. It expands both the number and scope of members who sit on the hearing committees to include a retired judge and an attorney appointed by the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. It also makes sure that the 3 law enforcement officers who sit on this committee have had proper training in the disciplinary action. Once I sign this legislation into law, police chiefs and municipal leaders will be more able to comment publicly on cases of alleged misconduct as they resolve themselves in their communities. And those same leaders will also have more tools to hold their departments accountable, and that's what the public wants. But at the same moment in time, I want to just repeat, this is a moment in time to bring our communities and our police together, and our police and our communities together. I have a picture in the office of former Chief John Poddington, who always reminded me of that story, and I think that it's one that I carry forward here as governor. Law enforcement officers have some of the hardest jobs around, and it has not been made easier over the last few years. They put themselves on the line to ensure our safety, and we are indebted to their service and to their families who serve with them. I believe that the vast majority of officers welcome the transparency in their work that they do. I liken it to the cams, right? To the fact that this protects our officers on their conduct. When you swear to uphold the law, accountability is already second nature. And having worked with the local chiefs as a mayor, lieutenant governor, now governor, I know that that's to be true. So it is a really good moment for us in this state. And I want to congratulate everybody who has actually brought this to a reality, and I look forward to signing the legislation. But first of all, Speaker Sakachi, come on up to the platform. Thank you so much for your leadership.
Thank you, Governor. Good afternoon. Always a joyous event to be in the state room, and this time of year, to me, always signals that we're coming to an end, so it's good. And finally, LEOBOR is coming to an end, or shall I say the LEOBOR Odyssey will end today as the governor signs this. And, success has a lot of fathers and a lot of people to give credit to, and in this case, there certainly is a lot. I certainly want to recognize people from the House side who've been instrumental and worked hard, and that certainly starts with Deputy Speaker Ray Hull, who you'll hear from earlier, who brought a very unique perspective as an African-American police officer and someone who has been on the street his entire career. He understands all sides of this issue. And to Tom Naray, who's a retired police officer, I think, if I'm not mistaken, when Tom came into the House, this was the first bill he introduced 4 years ago. And he continued to work hard and has been an integral part of this. And of course, my good friend, the Senate President. And I want to compliment him, and I want to compliment the Senate, and I want to compliment in 2 ways, because it was critically important to get this legislation through. They did a study commission several years ago that brought everybody together. I think it was the first time everybody actually sat in the room together and worked on recommendations that was the basis for a bill that they passed last year. And I want to thank my good friend, the President, who's been very instrumental in working not only with me, but with everybody on this issue, and the Senate as a whole, who came in this year and passed the bill. And that gave us in the House a template to work from. And I don't know if she's here, but I don't really compliment staff, but I want to compliment Danica Iacquay, Majority Leader Blazajewski's legal counsel, who worked tirelessly all summer long when we had meetings, when we brought in advocates, we brought in the 2 police unions and the League of Cities and Towns and the police chiefs and everybody and together in the room to work for a basis that not everybody loves. Let's not remember, not everybody loves this legislation, but I think everybody can live with it. And I think where we are today and where we will be when the governor signs that piece of legislation momentarily will be in a much better place as a community, as a state, as understanding each and every one of us. And this bill was only about 2 things. It was about accountability and transparency. We wanted to make sure it was fair. We wanted to make sure it was constitutional. We wanted to make sure that this was a product that everybody who was involved in could be proud of. And I stand here today humbly before you and say from the House, we are extremely proud of this legislation. And I thank everybody who worked here. I want to certainly also recognize Chairman Corvese, who is a key player in my leadership team, and Representative Boylan as well, who are here from the House. Very hard-working individuals who had a keen interest in this. The late Dan Beardsley, for 39 years, tried to reform or change or amend or modify LEOBOR. And he said, I think toward the end of his career when he retired, it will never be done. Well, Dan, as much as I love you and respect you and you're not with us anymore, we got it done. And I'm happy and proud of that. Today's bill signing is a culmination of 2 years of work done in the House, as well as many other years of work in the Senate. This was a monumental task, and it's quite an achievement for the General Assembly to do this. This legislation provides greater transparency, accountability, and due process. It was a compromise on all parties to come to the table. I want to thank the police unions, the police chiefs, the advocates, and everyone who weighed in. It's been decades since we've been able to address police misconduct in such a meaningful and substantial way. We recognize the important work law enforcement does every day in our communities, and we know their jobs are not easy. However, the status quo is not acceptable. This legislation creates a framework to address police misconduct, and I'm incredibly proud of the product before us today. I want to thank Deputy Speaker Hull, Tom Naray, who brought their law enforcement expertise and legislative skills to understanding this issue and crafting a piece of legislation that could work. It's not easy to pass legislation like this because everybody has to give up something. But in the end, when you give up something, you get a lot, and we get a lot with this legislation. Thank you very much.